We are anonymous. No faces, no flakes, no permission slips. Donald Trump just went completely silent as another commercial ship was reportedly struck near the Strait of Hormuz. And what happened next may completely change the way you look at the growing crisis in the Middle East. A United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations warning. A UK MTO Maritime Alert stated the following verbatim. Attack, attack. A cargo vessel has been hit on the starboard side by an unknown projectile causing damage to the bridge. Master has reported no casualties and no environmental impact. Think about that. A direct hit on a commercial vessel in one of the most heavily patrolled maritime choke points on Earth. Obviously, Iran is boldly exerting its newly claimed control over the Strait of Hormuz after yesterday's Omani route breakout. Remember what Iran explicitly stated just days ago. Iran has repeatedly warned that shipping routes in the region could become subject to new security requirements if tensions continue to escalate. Iranian officials and military-affiliated media have argued that foreign vessels should comply with designated transit procedures. Whether those claims have legal standing is heavily disputed internationally, but reality is often measured by actions rather than statements. Ships operating in the region have increasingly been forced to evaluate changing security conditions before entering the strait. While we have the satellite footage of these international ships turning around in fear, what do we have from the White House? We have the Trump regime, Donald Trump, Scott Bessent, Marco Rubio, frantically manipulating the markets to hide their failure. Let us listen directly to the intercepted radio audio of the SEPA Navy broadcasting this terrifying ultimatum to global shipping. Let's play this clip.
Attention all vessels, attention all vessels, attention all vessels in Persian Gulf and Oman Sea. This is SEPA Navy warning. Transiting in the Strait of Hormuz is only possible with SEPA Navy permission and on designated routes. If any vessel attempts to transit in the strait without our permission or AIS off or outside of the designated route, it's responsible for any consequences of any danger. This is SEPA Navy out.
Washington continues emphasizing that freedom of navigation remains protected. Military assets remain deployed across the region. Aircraft carriers, surveillance aircraft drones, and allied naval forces continue operating nearby. Yet the latest attack inevitably raises uncomfortable questions. If such an extensive military presence exists, why are commercial ships still vulnerable? That question deserves an answer. Markets, however, appear strangely calm. Oil prices have fluctuated far less than many analysts expected considering the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz. Normally, attacks on commercial shipping in one of the world's critical energy corridors would create immediate volatility. Instead, investors have witnessed relatively modest price movements. Some observers interpret this as confidence. Others believe markets may simply expect governments to contain the crisis before it spreads. Whatever explanation proves correct, uncertainty remains extremely high. Diplomatic activity has accelerated across the Middle East. Regional governments are holding consultations almost daily. Gulf states continue balancing their security partnerships with their geographic realities. Every country bordering the Persian Gulf understands one uncomfortable truth: geography cannot be changed. Neighbors must eventually find ways to coexist. That has encouraged renewed diplomatic conversations, even among governments that have experienced years of mistrust. Publicly, leaders continue emphasizing dialogue. Privately, every nation is calculating risk. Can maritime commerce continue uninterrupted? Will insurance premiums continue climbing? Could another incident trigger military escalation? Nobody can answer those questions with certainty. Meanwhile, political leaders continue making public appearances filled with confident language. When Rubio was pressed by a reporter to clarify why Tiffany Trump's husband was sitting next to him at a critical diplomatic meeting in Abu Dhabi, and whether that makes the US look completely foolish, listen to his ridiculous excuse. He claimed Boulos was just there to see his brother, who happens to live in the area, that he was just hanging out and catching up, while the Trump administration secretly funnels billions to foreign adversaries, authorizing $20 billion to Iran upfront, with the potential for $500 billion. In a final deal, the American working class is being actively crushed by economic manipulation and skyrocketing costs. Domestic inflation has violently surged, with the Fed's preferred headline PCE hitting a 3-year high of 4.1%, and personal savings rates plummeting to a 15-year low of 3%, forcing citizens to drain their accounts just to survive. While tech giants, like Apple, hike product prices by hundreds of dollars. Simultaneously, U.S. strategic petroleum reserves have been dangerously depleted by 151 million barrels to artificially percent suppress Brent crude prices at $72.53, a deliberate scheme to enrich oligarchs who trade deregulation for market manipulation. Abroad, the geopolitical landscape is rapidly imploding. Israeli leadership openly boasts about the 100% destruction of Lebanese border villages to annex territory, while U.S. diplomatic influence completely collapses. Former staunch allies like the UAE, realizing the American security umbrella is dead, are now seeking unprecedented backchannels with Iran. Instead of addressing this global crisis, the Trump regime responds with staggering negligence and nepotism. Secretary of State Marco Rubio abandons peace talks. J.D. Vance treats the shifting Middle East power dynamics as a casual joke, and Jared Kushner leverages the chaos to raise $5 billion for his private investment fund. These sources cannot answer every question, but together they help construct a clearer picture than political talking points alone. The strategic competition unfolding in the Gulf is not simply about one damaged cargo ship. It concerns influence, details, trade, energy, regional alliances, global credibility. Every incident becomes another test. Can international shipping continue without interruption? Can military power guarantee commercial security? Can diplomacy reduce tensions before another escalation occurs? Or has the region entered a new phase, where uncertainty itself becomes the new normal? Only time will answer those questions. But one thing remains undeniable. When commercial vessels alter course, when insurance companies revise risk assessments, when naval forces increase operations, and when governments issue emergency advisories, the situation deserves careful attention regardless of political rhetoric. The public deserves facts rather than slogans. The world deserves transparency rather than carefully managed narratives. We encourage everyone watching this video to examine multiple sources, question official claims from every side, and separate confirmed information from speculation. Power should never be accepted without scrutiny, because accountability begins with awareness. We are anonymous. Subscribe, share this video. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.